The 10 most expensive mistakes in the world. A single drill bit caused 96 acres of land to be sucked underground. The most costly error resulted in losses exceeding $2 trillion. While making mistakes is an inevitable part of human existence, some errors come with truly astronomical price tags. Just looking at the financial figures is enough to make your knees weak. In this edition of Guidepedia, we'll explore the world's most expensive mistakes together. Click subscribe and let's begin our journey. The Lake Peigneur disaster. Have you ever heard of an accident that single-handedly transformed an entire ecosystem? Lake Peigneur is located in southern Louisiana, connected to the Gulf of Mexico by a 9-mile canal. This region housed an enormous salt mine, part of which extended directly beneath the lake. In November 1980, an oil company constructed a drilling platform on the lake. Due to a calculation error in coordinates, the oil rig workers mistakenly believed the salt mine was situated at a greater depth. As the drilling platform's bit struck the rock layer ceiling, lake water began slowly seeping into the mine. The air inside the underground mine was continuously compressed by the flooding waters, eventually creating a critical pressure threshold that triggered a mining vortex. The resulting pressure was so immense that it swallowed 96 acres of land and even altered the canal's direction. Seawater from the Gulf of Mexico flowed northward through the canal and began backfilling. The previously dried up Lake Peigneur formed what became Louisiana's largest waterfall at that time. Due to this catastrophic accident, the local salt mine temporarily closed and permanently ceased operations in 1986. The oil company paid $32 million in compensation to the salt mining company and $13 million to the botanical garden. Through this remarkable achievement of error, the oil company also managed to bring itself to the brink of bankruptcy. The strongest bridge collapsed right after completion. A bridge claimed to be built using the most advanced technology collapsed in just 30 seconds. The Seongsa Bridge, spanning 3,800 feet, was constructed in 1977 by Dong-A Construction, one of South Korea's major conglomerates. The project cost a total of $160 million. The architects boasted that they had employed the most advanced cantilever method of the time to build it. The bridge attracted significant attention from the beginning, with even the president attending its completion ceremony. Yet no one expected it would become the subject of a globally broadcast collapse. According to subsequent investigations, experts discovered obvious evidence of cutting corners during the construction process. The construction team had even used inferior quality steel, which planted the seeds for the disaster. To salvage their reputation promptly, the Dong-A Group expressed willingness to allocate $150 million to repair the Seongsa Bridge and donate an additional $10 million to the government for subsequent bridge maintenance costs. In 1997, the rebuilt Seongsa Bridge cost a total of $75 million. The repairs took 3 years to complete, wasting enormous amounts of human and material resources on this bridge. Chimney demolition gone wrong. An excavator was demolishing a chimney several hundred feet tall. According to the workers' precise calculations, the chimney should have fallen in a different direction. However, as the explosion occurred, the chimney unexpectedly fell straight toward the excavator. With a loud bang, the area was immediately showered with a rain of bricks. The scattered debris quickly covered the top of the excavator completely, due to the great height from which they fell. These bricks even crushed part of the excavator. This was one of the historic chimneys in Pell City, America, dating back to 1890. After the factory closed, it underwent implosion treatment. Unfortunately, due to improper placement of explosives, the first detonation failed, and the second attempt caused such enormous damage. Thankfully, with the blessing of Lady Luck, the sturdy excavator used its body to shield its operator from this disaster. The Bridge of Corruption collapsed twice in 1 year. Have you ever seen a bridge so fragile? The Sultan Ganj Bridge, connecting the Hekaria and Bhagalpur regions in eastern India, began construction in 2017. This bridge cost $210 million, with a total length of nearly 2 miles. It was designed with 4 traffic lanes and a pedestrian walkway, serving as an important new passage across the Ganges River. However, This bridge suffered a serious collapse shortly after its completion. The first collapse occurred in late April 2022, allegedly due to strong winds and rainfall, but it wasn't long before the bridge experienced its second failure. Before plunging into the river, the middle section of the bridge disintegrated first, with the remaining portions following closely behind. Concrete blocks along with numerous bridge fragments fell into the river, creating waves that surged toward the riverbanks. Shockingly, its disappearance took only seconds. Relevant authorities claimed the accident was caused by loose cable frames. However, some strongly questioned this explanation, believing the bridge collapsed not because of structural issues, but due to quality defects resulting from embezzlement of material funds. This is why it's also known as the Bridge of Corruption. Building collapse due to cut corners. In 2009, in the Minhang district of Shanghai, a 13-story building under construction completely collapsed in a residential complex called Lotus Riverside. The accident caused one worker, unable to escape in time, to be crushed and suffocated to death. Fortunately, since the collapsed high-rise had not yet been completed and handed over for use, there were no resident casualties. The total investment in this building was $27 million, with direct losses amounting to nearly $3 million. The building fell over entirely to the south side. During the collapse, the 13-story structure did not completely shatter. However, dozens of concrete pile foundations that should have been deeply embedded underground were neatly broken off and exposed, creating a horrifying sight. The residential complex was located by a river, with 6 or 7 13-story mid-rise buildings under construction. Looking from a distance, a gap appeared among this row of riverside buildings. After investigation, experts discovered that the building's pile foundation was hollow with extremely poor load-bearing capacity, completely inadequate to support the entire building. Moreover, the construction contractor and construction team had problems with cutting corners and using substandard materials. The building that can melt cars. 20 Finchley Street is a commercial skyscraper in London, England. Due to its peculiar shape, it's affectionately nicknamed the walkie-talkie building by locals. This structure has a building area of 1,076,000 square feet, stands 37 stories tall, and cost approximately £240 million to construct. It was meant to become one of England's most iconic landmarks. However, during the building's construction, designers failed to consider that the glass on the building's facade wasn't built at right angles, but featured various curved angles. This caused London citizens passing by the building to suffer eye burns from the reflected sunlight. Beyond that, it damaged many surrounding businesses, cracking tiles and burning carpets in nearby shops. It even melted cars parked along the street. These severe consequences forced the building's original developers to compensate London residents. According to tests, temperatures at number 20 could reach 196 degrees Fahrenheit at peak times. One could oil a frying pan in the vicinity and cook an egg to completion. Such an eccentric building was truly difficult for London citizens to accept. This skyscraper, which began construction in 2014, was sold to the Lee Kum Kee Group by 2017. The skyscraper that forgot elevators. This skyscraper is part of a twin-tower high-rise apartment building in Benidorm, Spain, standing at 656 feet tall with 47 floors. It claims to be Europe's tallest residential building. Tragically, however, 27 floors of this building have no usable elevators. To reach these floors, one must climb the stairs step by step. Initially, this project was funded by Galician Bank, with the primary purpose of demonstrating to the world that they had successfully emerged from the effects of the economic crisis. They originally planned to build just a 20-story luxury apartment building. But when the global financial crisis erupted in 2008, the original developer went bankrupt, and the project was subsequently shelved. Later, this abandoned building was taken over by a Spanish bank specializing in handling distressed assets, with a significantly reduced budget. Then something extraordinary happened. Due to the construction company's excessive ambition, they increased the original 20-story apartment building to 47 stories. The number of households accommodated changed from around 120 to 296. However, the elevator design and reserved space remained based on the 20-story plan. In a 47-story building, the space required for elevators, electrical equipment, and other necessities is far greater than in the previous plan. When the building was nearing completion, everyone finally realized there wasn't enough space to install elevators. Besides the lack of elevators, there were numerous other problems. Reportedly, the construction workers of this building were owed wages, and the responsible architect had already resigned. Because of these various issues, the developer sold only 94 units in 10 years. Such a situation is truly unheard of. A decimal point that cost $4.3 billion. In 2022, Spain's most advanced submarine, the S-80 class Isaac Peral, finally surfaced. It was originally supposed to be completed in 2012. However, merely because of a decimal point error, not only was its completion delayed, but it also cost an enormous amount of additional funding. What happened? Initially, when the submarine had already completed 80% of its construction, people suddenly discovered it was severely overweight. This meant that once the submarine was launched, it would only sink and not resurface. After investigation, the cause of this situation was found to be engineers marking the decimal point in the wrong position, since considerable human and material resources had already been invested. Abandoning the construction would still result in a loss. To resolve this issue, the decision was made to lengthen the submarine. However, this was an extremely troublesome process because the interior had already been essentially fitted out to ensure the submarine could successfully enter service. The total investment ultimately reached $4.3 billion. The Suez Canal ship blockage. On March 23, 2021, a cargo ship measuring 1,300 feet long ran aground in Egypt's Suez Canal. According to reports, this vessel deviated from its course during a sandstorm when hit by strong winds reaching 46 miles per hour, subsequently colliding with the canal bottom and becoming stranded, completely blocking the waterway. The grounded section happened to be in an area undergoing expansion where the channel was narrow, making it impossible for other vessels to navigate around. This resulted in more than 300 ships queuing up, with at least 15 vessels forced to drop anchor due to the blockage. Rough estimates suggested that the channel congestion caused losses of approximately $400 million per hour, amounting to between $6 and $10 billion daily. 10 tankers carrying 13 million barrels of crude oil were potentially affected by the Suez Canal blockage, directly influencing the rise in global oil prices. Perhaps one of your lengthy gas bills was courtesy of this incident. A signature that lost $2 trillion. What kind of place is Alaska? It's located over 2,500 miles from Washington state, yet less than 60 miles from the Russian mainland. In the mid-19th century, the Russian Empire was facing a series of serious problems and urgently needed cash flow to support its financial and military operations. In 1867, Russia signed the Treaty of Alaska with the United States, selling Alaska to America and turning it into an American exclave. The selling price was merely $7,200,000, equivalent to about $240 million today. Just when everyone thought Russia had made a great profit, news emerged that made Russians instantly regret their decision to the core. As it turned out, someone had discovered massive gold mines in Alaska, instantly making the state incredibly valuable. Countless experts and professionals came to survey and research the area, discovering that Alaska was essentially a giant treasure trove. It contained not only gold, oil, natural gas, and other mineral resources, but also countless rare resources. The total estimated value has exceeded $2 trillion. A single signature caused Russia to lose a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's truly the best example of picking up sesame seeds, but dropping a watermelon. After watching this video, do you feel regretful about these mistakes? Feel free to leave comments and interact in the comment section. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and like Guidepedia. We'll bring you more fascinating content in our next episode.